Hi, it's Sylvester, and this story takes place in grade 10, I want to say, maybe grade 11. I'm pretty sure I was 16. I must have been 16 because I had a driver's license, not my full license, but I still had a license, and that actually comes into play later in the story, so that's the only reason why I remember that detail. But yeah, I must have been about 16 years old, and we were in high school, my friends and I. By the way, I'm a trans man, and at the time I thought I was a girl. That kind of is important to the story. Not super important, but it's kind of important. Anyways, so I was part of this group of friends, and maybe it's my insecurity speaking here, but I always kind of felt like I didn't really fit in with the rest of these girls. I was always a little bit different, kind of weird, kind of quiet and shy and awkward. And I felt like I was a bit of like a black sheep, the black sheep of the friend group. And I just felt kind of left out a lot of the time because they would hang out without me and then they'd post about it on Facebook and then I'd get kind of jealous, and I often felt like I was the friend that they would only call upon if nobody else was available. Like I didn't feel like I got invited to that much stuff, and so I felt a little bit left out. And I mean, that being said, I did genuinely have some pretty good times with these girls, so I'm not going to write the friend group off entirely, but overall, I felt like I didn't really quite fit in with the rest of them. Maybe part of that has to do it has to do with the fact that I later turned out to be a boy. Maybe that's part of it, but like for whatever reason, I just didn't feel like I really matched their vibe, you know? So when I got invited by these girls to go to Fan Expo with them, there was no way I was going to say no because I was just excited to have been invited, to be included. Like, I really, above all other things, I just wanted to be included. And if you don't know what Fan Expo is, it's Fan Expo Toronto. There's Fan Expos all over the place, but this was Fan Expo Toronto. And Fan Expo is a convention where you can go and meet your favorite celebrities and buy stuff and other convention activities, take pictures with celebrities, and it's a fan convention. So I got invited, but the only reason I got invited is because my mom was willing to give us her credit card number so that we could buy the tickets online. They couldn't find anybody else who was willing to give them their credit card number to buy something online. My mom was the only one who was willing to do that. So thank you, Mom. That was really nice. And I know my mom is very hesitant to give her credit card number out online, and that's fair, for good reason. So the fact that she did this for us was like she was doing us a really big favor, and I was really scared that these girls wouldn't pay my mom back because she bought all the tickets and then my friends were going to pay her back for that. So I was really scared they weren't going to, and I kept like hounding them and being like, so you're gonna pay my mom back? Do you have that money yet? And they did end up paying my mom back, but I was really scared for a while there because I would have felt so bad if my mom had spent all this money buying us tickets and then they didn't pay her back. But anyways, they did pay her back. So we had enough money for the tickets, but we were all really poor. None of us came from affluent backgrounds, and so we didn't really have money for a hotel. And so I suggested we stay at a hostel because hostels are a lot cheaper. They're very affordable. But my friends didn't really want to do that for some reason. So they wanted to find somebody that we could all stay with. And so one of my friends, she would talk to random boys on the internet. She had a reputation for being like a little bit promiscuous, and she would meet men on the internet, and this was just kind of like a thing that she did. I don't really know the full extent of it, but I just like that's what I knew about her, is that she had boys that she knew from the internet who could maybe let us stay with them. And so I was like, okay, but the thing about me is that I am a planner. I do not like not having a plan. Now, this hasn't always been true. I've gone through phases in my life where I've just kind of winged it and just lived my life on the edge and not had a plan. But for most of my life, I have been the kind of person who really, really needs a plan. I get so anxious if I do not have a plan, especially when it comes to trips. Like if we are going to Toronto for 3 days, which I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was a 3 day trip, so 3 days and 2 nights. We were going to Toronto for 3 days. Like I needed to have a plan. Like I needed to know where we were going to stay. But I didn't want to be square, you know? I didn't want to be that friend who's like breathing down their necks, being like, we need a plan. We need to know where we're staying. Like, I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be chill for once, you know? So they kept telling me, like, don't worry, we'll find a place to stay. And as the day grew closer, it drew closer and closer and closer, I got more and more and more anxious. And I just kept being like, so, have you found a place for us to stay yet? And, like this friend, she would go on Craigslist. Like she'd actually went on Craigslist. Like this is the most dangerous thing in the world for a freaking 16-year-old girl to do. But she'd go on Craigslist and she'd meet and message random men that she found on the internet, many of whom were way too old to be associating with 16-year-old girls. And she'd ask like, "Can we stay with you?" And you know, she was having a hard time, weirdly enough, finding guys who would let us stay at their place. But eventually, she found a guy. And she didn't really know this guy. She met him on Craigslist. And so I was seeing red flags everywhere. I was like, you know, this seems like a very unsafe thing for us to do. We're a group of 16-year-old girls who are going to meet a random guy that we met on the internet and stay with him for 2 nights. That sounds sketchy as hell, and I do not in any way recommend that anybody does that. If there are any teenagers watching this, do not just randomly meet up with strangers on the internet and stay at their house. Super dangerous, super not cool. But again, I wanted to be chill. I wanted my friends to like me, so I was like, cool, that's fine. Yeah, let's stay at this random guy's house. I'm totally not nervous about this at all. Absolutely, this sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. But, you know, I was just kind of glad that we had a place to stay. But because I'm a planner, I had a backup plan just in case my friends weren't able to find a place for us to stay. I had done my research and I had found a list of cheap hostels in the area near the convention center where we could stay for like $20 a night. So, you know, I did have a plan B. I was a planner. But the day comes, and my friend's dad drives us all to Toronto, and he just like drops us off in the middle of Toronto, says bye, drives away, which, what were our parents thinking? Like, my mom, I don't blame her, because I'm pretty sure I probably told her, like, everything's gonna be cool. I probably, like, downplayed the situation and probably didn't tell her that we were staying at a random stranger from the internet's house. I probably told her, like, oh yeah, it's my friend. My friend knows somebody who lives in Toronto. Like, I probably lied to my mom so that she wouldn't worry. But, like, just my friend's dad, the fact that he drove us, a group of 16-year-old girls, to the middle of Toronto and dropped us off and just was like, bye, and just left us. Like, no chaperone, no parental guidance, nothing. If it was my child, I would not let my child just roam around Toronto by themselves as a teenager. Like, maybe I'm overprotective, maybe I worry too much, but I know for a fact that there are some dangerous people in the world, especially in the big city, especially for teenage girls. It's just a very dangerous thing for them to just be wandering around by themselves, but whatever. Again, we all probably downplayed the situation to our parents. And again, I'm not saying my mom's a bad mom for letting me do this. I was very grateful that she was a cool enough mom to let me do this. And again, I probably, you know, explained the situation to her in a way that's maybe different from the truth to try to make it seem like it was a lot safer than it was. I don't really remember. But again, if it was my child, I would not. I would absolutely say no. Like, I don't care if you think if you don't think I'm a cool dad. You're not going to Toronto for 3 days by yourself, just with your teenage friends. Not happening. Anyways, we get there and we have all this luggage. Like, I had a suitcase with me and we didn't have a hotel to go to. and this friend that we were gonna my the or not friend, this guy that my friend had met on the internet wasn't allowing us to come over until later that night. So we had to lug all of our baggage around through the convention center, which was kind of a nightmare. If you've ever been to a convention, you know that it sucks to have to, if it would suck to have to carry your luggage around with you, and it did. It was just a real pain in the ass, but it was fun. I enjoyed myself. It was a good time. Overall, Fan Expo was actually a pretty good time. I ended up meeting a couple of celebrities. I got my picture taken with James Marsters, who played Spike from Buffy. I do not have that picture anymore. I'm not sure what happened to it. I just don't have it anymore. I got my picture taken with Tomo Pennicott, who played a character in the show Dollhouse. I really liked the show Dollhouse when I was in high school. It's a show that is basically about human trafficking. It's a very thinly veiled metaphor for human. It's not even a metaphor. It's just straight up is about human trafficking. And I was an edgy person in high school, and this was an edgy show about an edgy subject, and so I was into it. And people say that the show Dollhouse did not age very well, and I haven't watched it since high school, so I can't tell you if it holds up. But just the fact that it was made by Joss Whedon and it's a show about human trafficking, it puts a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, and I understand that. I'm not standing up for Joss Whedon. I believe the accusations against him, but I just so you're aware, the show wasn't pro human trafficking. Again, I haven't seen it in a long time, so maybe I'm misremembering it, but as far as I'm aware, the whole point of the show is human trafficking is bad. So even if you don't like Joss Whedon, just know that the show wasn't about like, yeah, let's go human trafficking, it's awesome. Also, I really like the show because Eliza Dushku is so attractive and such an amazing actress. She basically had to play a different character in every episode, which probably would have been a lot of fun. I mean, other than the fact that she had to work with Joss Whedon, who knows how fun that experience actually was. But the idea, like as a former theater kid myself, the idea of being in a show where you get to play a totally new character in every episode sounds kind of fun. But anyways, enough about the show Dollhouse. Tomo Pennicott was in the show Dollhouse. He also later went on to be in the show Supernatural, which was a show that I really liked in high school, but he hadn't been in Supernatural yet at the time that I met him, and I do actually have the picture of myself with Tomo Pennicott. So this is me at, again, 16. I can't see if it's in frame. I can't see if the photo is... Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. So this is Tomo Pennicott and I. He was a very nice guy, and it was really cool because I told him my name. And then later on, we were standing by the elevators, and my friend gets this look in her eye, like she just like looks like freaked out or starstruck or like something, like she just gets this look. And then she's like, look behind you. And so I turn around, and Tomo Pennicott is just standing there by himself waiting for the elevator. And I'm like, oh my God, hi, do you remember me? We met earlier, and I got a picture with you. And he's like, yeah, I remember you. And then he said my name, and he's like, you have the same name as my sister, so I remember you. And it was just like... whoa, like, this famous guy remembers me. He remembers my name. Like, that is so cool. Like, I was so starstruck. So, the actual Fan Expo itself was a lot of fun. But let's get back to the not so pleasant part of the story, which is that at the end of day one of Fan Expo, we leave the convention, and I'm prepared to go to sleep. And so I'm like, all right, we're going to go meet up with that guy, and he's going to let us stay at his house, right? And that's when they told me there was no guy. They lied to me. They did not have a plan for what we were going to do. We did not have a place to stay. We were just going to sleep on the streets of Toronto. Like, again, I wanted to be chill. I wanted to be cool and be like, yeah, that's totally awesome. Like, what an adventure. But again, that's just like not the kind of person that I was. I'm super anal and I need to have a plan. And like the idea of sleeping on the street was like not my cup of tea, not something that I wanted to do. And I was so mad. I was so mad because here I was in the middle of Toronto for the next 2 days with no place to sleep, nowhere to go. Like, I was so paranoid. I was certain we were going to get mugged. I was certain we were going to get kidnapped. I was certain that, like, something, like, again, we were a group of 16-year-old girls in the middle of Toronto, unchaperoned, sleeping on the street, and we had all of our luggage with us. So, like, if somebody wanted to rob us, it would have been extremely easy because we had all of our stuff with us, you know? So it's like, I was not happy. I was super not happy. They lied to me, knowing that I wouldn't have been okay with not having a place to stay. That's why they lied to me. That's why they didn't tell me until the day of, because they knew that I wouldn't be okay with it. And so it pissed me off so much that they lied to me about this. Pissed me off so much. So I got really angry, but I didn't say anything. I didn't shout or anything. I just got really quiet. But I think, like, they could tell that I was angry. Even though I didn't say anything, they could tell that I was pissed off. And I could tell that they kind of resented me for being pissed off, because in their heads they were thinking, like, why can't you just be cool for once? Why can't you be more like us? Why can't you just be chill and be like, cool, we're sleeping on the streets of Toronto. That sounds like a fun adventure. Woo! Like, why can't you just be like us? But I wasn't like them. I was not happy. I was so mad. And so, you know, I don't really remember the order of events. I think we went to like a Tim Hortons and tried to sleep there for a bit, and then I think we got kicked out, and then we went to like a park or something, and then we went to like a stairwell to try to sleep, and like, I don't know, we tried to find a few places to sleep, but it wasn't really working out. Again, I don't really remember a lot of the specific details, but I do remember at one point I got mad at them and I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not sleeping on the street. I'm going to go to a hostel. Like, this is why I had a plan B. This is why I looked up all the hostels in Toronto or near the convention center so that I would have a place to stay if something happened and our plans fell through. And so something happened and our plans have fallen through, so it's time for me to go to the hostel. And my friends, they did not want to go to the hostel. And then that's when my one friend told me that she didn't have a driver's license. So even if they wanted to go to a hostel, she couldn't, because you need a driver's license to be a guest at a hostel. And so I was even more pissed because I'm like, I have this plan B and we can't even do that. like, I told you that there were hostels we could stay at. I told you that if something happened and we didn't have a place to stay, there's always a hostel. And you never mentioned that you didn't have a driver's license. But now, suddenly, you're mentioning that you don't have a driver's license. And it's like, great, so we can't even go to a freaking hostel. And that's when I got mad at them. I don't think I yelled or anything, but I was just like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to go to a hostel. I don't care. You guys do what you want. I'm going to go to a hostel. So I just left them. I just abandoned them, and I went to one of the hostels that I had, one of the hostels that was near the convention center. I didn't have like a list with me of all the different hostels. I had just like looked up all the different hostels, but I didn't have a list. I don't think. Maybe I did. I don't know. But there was only one hostel that I went to. I didn't try. Maybe there was only one hostel near the convention center. I don't remember. You know what? I don't remember. But there was. I think there was. I think there was only one hostel that was near the convention center. So, anyways, I went to this hostel. I somehow found it. Again, I think I probably did bring myself like a printed out map of like where the hostel was just in case, because I was the kind of person who would over prepare like that, so I probably did. And so I found my way to this hostel. I get there, and of course it's full because it's Fan Expo, and so like every hostel and hotel within a 3-mile radius or 10 mile, I don't know how big a mile is because I'm Canadian, but you know, like all of the hostels and all the hotels that are near the convention center are going to be full because it's freaking Fan Expo and everybody's looking for a place to stay. And so I got turned away. So I was like heading back to meet my friends, texting my friends like, all right, the hostel didn't let me in, I'm gonna go try to find you guys. And I just remember walking down the streets of Toronto just bawling my eyes out because I was so upset that we didn't have a place to stay and that I was in this situation and I was trapped in Toronto for 3 days with nowhere to stay, and it was just so emotionally overwhelming for me, and I just cried and cried and cried and cried. And then I met up with my friends and we continued trying to find places to sleep. Again, slept in a stairwell, we tried to sleep in a park. Like, I don't really remember. It just, I feel like I've blocked a lot of it out of my mind. But the next day rolls around. We go to the convention center. We're still carrying around all our luggage, which pissed me off because I really didn't want to have to drag my suitcase around with me all over the convention center, but whatever. And then night comes again, and we have to spend another night on the streets of Toronto. But then these drunken men, probably like in their 30s, roll up on us, and they start talking to us. And again, red flags, red flags. We're a bunch of teenage girls, and these grown-ass men are like talking to us, and like one thing leads to another, and we tell them we don't have anywhere to sleep, we don't have anywhere to stay, and they said, we'll buy you a hotel room as long as we get to sleep in that hotel room too. Again, red flags, red flags. We're a bunch of teenage girls, and these are a bunch of grown-ass men offering to share a hotel room with us. Super not okay. But at that point, I didn't even give a crap. I was like, yes, I want to sleep in a nice warm hotel room. I don't want to sleep on the street anymore. We are going to take them up on this offer. Yes. So we did. We took them up on the offer, and one of the dudes was like kind of flirting with me, and it made me uncomfortable, but it was fine. It wasn't like that bad, but like he was obviously like kind of into me, and it creeped me out a little bit, but whatever. I was just happy that we were gonna have a place to sleep. So we go to like a bunch of different hotels because again, it's Fan Expo and every hotel in the area is fully booked. Eventually we find a hotel that has a free room, but it's a small room that's not going to fit all of us. And so I think they lied about how many people were going to stay in the room, and then we all piled into this room. It was just like, it just had one bed, and so I had to sleep on the floor, and my other friend had to sleep on the floor, and then two of my other friends slept in the bed with the boys. Like, I think all the boys were like crammed onto the bed. Oh, actually, I forgot one thing. As we were walking around trying to find a hotel room, the guy who had kind of been flirting with me at one point offered to carry my luggage for me, and I, being a very paranoid person, was like, he's going to take my bag and he's going to run off with it. He's just going to steal it. So there's no way I'm letting this strange man take my bag. So I was like, no, it's okay. Like, I got it. And then he tried to take it. I'm like, no. It's okay. I got it. Thank you. I got it. And then he got mad at me. He's like, wow, stuck up bitch, or something like that. Like, sorry, I'm not supposed to say the B word, but like, I'm pretty sure that's what he said. So I was like, just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of off-putting. Like, this guy was flirting with me, and then I refused to let him take my bag, and then he calls me the B word, and it's like, okay, fickle, a little bit fickle. So, I guess he was pissed off that I wasn't receptive to his advances. But anyway, we get to the hotel room. There, my friends are sleeping in the hotel bed with these boys, and I'm on the floor. I don't get that much sleep, but I get a little bit of sleep. And then the next day, I found out that my one friend, when she was in bed with the dudes, the one dude started licking her ear. And so that's fucked up. Like, again, if you are a teenager, especially a teenage girl, do not, under any circumstances, go to a random hotel room with some older men that you've never met and share a room with them. Just all around bad news. So she got really lucky that he didn't try to do anything more than lick her ear. But the fact that this grown man licked a teenage girl's ear is just gross and awful, and I feel bad for her that she went through that, and it was just all around bad experience, not good. But we left our luggage in the hotel room because we finally were able to go to the convention and not have to carry our luggage around with us. So that was great. But then later on, when we went back to the hotel room to get our luggage, we realized the men were no longer with us. They had departed that morning, and so we went back to the hotel room to get our luggage, but we couldn't get into the hotel room because our key wouldn't work, or maybe we didn't have the key. I don't remember, but like we just couldn't get back into our hotel room. I think we had the key, but like for some reason it wasn't working. So my friend had to go to the front desk and be like, we need a new key so we could get into our room. And they're like, what is the room under? Whose name is the room under? And we had no idea what this guy's name was who had booked the room for us. And so we were like, we don't know. we have no idea. Like shit. So my friend, like, we like go outside and we're like, what do we do? We have to get in there so we can get our luggage. Like, what do we do? And then my friend, she's like, don't worry, I got this. And so she goes in and starts talking to the receptionist, and I don't know what she said, but this friend was like a smooth ass talker, and she somehow convinced this receptionist to give us a key to let us back into the hotel room. I don't know what she said, but she worked her magic and she got us in. So we were able to get our luggage back. And then the weekend was over. My friend's dad came and picked us up, and that was pretty much it. And I felt really embarrassed. I felt really bad in hindsight because I'm like, I ruined it for my friends because I was angry with them. And the fact that I was angry with them made them resent me and made them have less of a fun time, because it sucks when you're around somebody who's just kind of pissed off at you, you know? And so I felt like I had ruined the trip. I ruined it for my friends by being angry with them. And I mean, in a way I kind of did. I understand that it probably did ruin their fun, but I do think that my anger was justified. I do think that it was pretty messed up for them to put me in that situation, knowing that I was not going to be okay with being in that situation. They lied to me in order to get me there, so that, you know, because they knew that it would upset me. They knew it would piss me off. And so it's kind of like, it's like, on one hand, I did sort of make things less fun because I was angry, but on the other hand, I do think that I was justified in my anger, because yeah, that was pretty fucked up of them to put me in that situation. That was super not cool. Again, red flags. It could have ended so much worse. Those men could have murdered us, they could have kidnapped us, they could have assaulted us, they could have robbed us. We could have, like, we probably could have gotten arrested for sleeping on the streets. Like, I don't know if that's illegal, but feels like it might be. Like, a bunch of teenage girls sleeping on the streets of Toronto. The police probably could have, like, picked us up and, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's illegal, but like we could have gotten in trouble for something, I'm sure. Like, I don't know. The whole situation was just kind of fucked up. And I did end up having a good time. You know, I did meet Tomo Pennicott and James Marsters, and I do have some good memories from that trip. And in hindsight, it's kind of a funny story, and it's kind of, you know, it was an adventure. You know, I do have that life experience now. I can say that I slept on the streets of Toronto when I was a teenager, but that's not something that I really know if I needed to have. I don't really know if I needed to have that specific life experience, you know? Like, I feel like I'd be just fine if I didn't have an experience with sleeping on the streets in Toronto as a teenager. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the story. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.